Hey y'all, former plant killer here, Jessie with Living on a Prayer Flower Farm, and it is time for July farm update. There's been so much going on in the farm this month. So many different changes, so many lessons learned, and I was going to do a farmer's market video, but unfortunately I got sick and had to cancel my farmer's market. But that just means it's the perfect time to show you what's going on here at the farm and update you on some things. So I'm going to be doing a video series on how I started flower farming. So I think for right now, on every Thursday, I'm going to upload a video about how to get into flower farming. We'll start off with what you need to do in your state, resources, supplies, equipment, where to get it from, seeds and bulbs, where do you order them from, and then we'll also dive into what I would recommend when you're starting out. So I'll do short clips on Thursdays and post those. I'll call it flower farming for beginners or cut flower garden side hobby hustle, side hustle. I don't know. I'll come up with the title before then, but it'll be a series over the next few weeks. So if you've got some questions you'd like answered, be sure to leave them in a comment below and I'll do my best to answer them throughout the series. So that's what's coming, that's what I'm working on. And so many changes to this farm, and I'm trying so hard not to just mow it all down right now. So let's take a look at everything real quick. So you're going to notice half my zinnia bed is gone. We mowed it. It's gone. That was painful. I'm sad, but not to despair. It's getting replanted. Let me show you why we had to mow it down. This is the other half of the zinnia bed. Do you see the grass? The weeds had just taken over. It has gotten ridiculously thick, not safe. There are gonna be snakes all in there. So I made the call, let's mow it down, at least half of it, and start it over. So once this half that's behind me gets planted, I'll mow down the rest of this and we'll replant it with zinnias as well. I've got plenty of time before I hit my last frost date that I'm able to do that. And I'm really tempted to do it on this next bed as well. So my basil safe, I would leave it. But my China Aster, Cosmos, Jewels of Ophir, this whole area, except my Gomphrena, I'm thinking about just mowing it down and replanting something else. The aster is not that great anymore. It's really toning down. It's taking up too much real estate to stay here. I hate my Jewels of Ophir. It doesn't have enough pizzazz to the bouquets for me to like it enough, even though it produces great. So if it's something you like, by all means, grow it. It is a great producer. And then my Cosmos, well, they're easy to grow, so collateral damage. I want to mow it down, put landscape fabric, and replant to help maintain the weeds. I would leave the Gomphrena, leaving the dahlias and the celosa to the weeds. I'll continue to harvest off those, they're fine. But the rest of it, that's real estate, my friend. And then as much as it would kill me to do it, probably going to mow down this verbena, marigolds, and scabiosa, and my lemon mint bee balm. I can't remember the name of it. All gone, including maybe the yarrow because it's not producing anymore. I planted it way too tight on my yarrow and it stopped producing, even though I'm harvesting off of it. No more yarrow. It has stopped producing because I didn't space it out far enough. Because plants grow. Didn't know that, right? They grow, and spacing is everything sometimes with these plants, and I got it wrong on my yarrow. So I'm about to mow down this whole section. Gone with you. And replant it because we're getting close to time where it's time to start planting my fall harvest. Inside, I've got Rudbeckia going. I'm about to get stock and several other seedlings that are slow to start but thrive in the winter going. It's time to start thinking about cool flowers for next year. behind me, try not to shake this too much, is where we've planted more sunflowers. My customers go crazy for sunflowers. That is my bread and butter here. Sunflowers and zinnias. That is what I've learned from working my market, is everybody, try not to shake y'all, I'm sorry. Everybody loves sunflowers. Ton of sunflowers planted in this bed behind me, and turn around. Right here is even more sunflowers going in. So we ripped up all the old spent sunflowers and planted in new. And we gotta do the same thing to the bed behind me. That bed needs to be amended because sunflowers did not do well there. Tried to get by without amending that soil, didn't work out. Now we know. But the sunflowers are coming up a lot faster now because it's a lot hotter out here. So I'm not having to wait nearly as long for a harvest. Speaking of harvest, here is the sunflower bed that I did redo, the first one. And you can see I've got sunflowers coming up. And then you can see that one long white night I left her for the bees since I got sick. But the rest of them have already been harvested down here. They came up so quick. Those were my transplants. And then the rest of the sunflowers are getting ready. Another thing I learned was I need to leave space to walk through these sunflowers. This big giant bed behind me, I filled it up with sunflowers and I couldn't walk through it easily. Thus the screaming and running when everything flew on me or at me or spiders. Oh. So now I'm leaving rows between the sunflowers, not planting them as densely so I get better stems and I can walk through, and better airflow to help improve, disease and such, keep it down. My bachelor buttons that died right here, I tried to plant them for a fall harvest and I think it was just way too early. It's so hot in July. I know that I can plant them in November and that they'll be good for next spring. But I really wanted bachelor buttons to have in the fall. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think we just stayed way too hot in my zone for way too long to actually reap any fall harvest. So I think instead I've got some amaranth up on the porch that's hardening off. I'm going to plant those here instead once they're ready to go in the ground. And oh my goodness, my rear end is hot on this mat. Oh, it is so hot on this netting, on this landscape fabric. Oh, I'm getting up. Ow! Not sitting down this time. Over here are my snapdragons, my Potomac snapdragons. Apple blossom, Potomac lavender, Potomac yellow, Madam butterfly. All of these do well during the summer. They just need some water right now because they're really hot. But that's what's going here. And then in these rows that aren't planted is where I'm going to start putting my costas and chantilly snapdragons, the one that likes the cool weather. I'll start planting them here probably in October is when I'll get them ready for. So by that time we should start cooling down. It won't be nearly as hot, and they should bloom for me starting in December if I plant them in October. I think. We'll see. But these are getting their roots. They look healthy. They just look like they need a bit of water real quick. Let me show you my trays of zinnias and what I did this time. So these are my zinnias. I've got 4 trays of zinnias started. And what I did was I decided to put them straight outside with their lid on until they germinated. Once they germinated, I brought the lid off and I've left them out here in the heat. I've just made sure that they have plenty of water and I've kept an eye on them. This is saving me from having to harden them off. I want to get them into that landscape fabric as fast as possible. But not least are my glads. Watching Florette's new TV show on Magnolia Network, Growing Florette, she had said how, at least I think it was on there, that for the daffodils, during the off season, they covered it with landscape fabric and allowed the weeds to die, and then uncovered it when it was closer to time when they would emerge, and that it was just perfect that there were hardly any weeds doing it that way. So I think next year that's what I'm going to do. Once these glads are done, we will harvest off of them, wait for the leaves to die back, and then we'll cover this area with breathable landscape fabric where water can still get in but sun cannot, and hopefully that'll kill the weeds. We'll pull it up, and hopefully next year I won't be dealing with so much grass and getting it so high. Let me show you what I call my lily patch slash volunteer zinnia and celosa patch that came up this year. Look at that. It is so overgrown. These are volunteer celosa. This is where I had my celosa and zinnias last year. And as you can see, it's just overgrown. We've been using it to harvest off of, and it's been great. But it's also basically asking for a snake infestation right there. Perfect habitat. So there it is, the July farm update. What's going on? Apparently I've lost my mind and I'm mowing down my flowers before the end of the season. But we're learning, we're experimenting, we're growing. So sometimes that means I'm going to be going to market with a lot less flowers than what I potentially could have. But that just means next year's going to be so much better, because now I know, you big dummy, buy the dependable landscape fabric and use it, and just keep learning. That's what all this is, right? We're learning together. We're figuring out what works, what doesn't work, and we're narrowing down the plants that work best in our market and for our customers, right? So thank y'all for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.